I wanted to bring up because I just thought it'd be interesting for this episode
Yeah.
the Tower of Babel, right? So I'm going to read this scripture real quick. It's Genesis 11, 1 through 9. And just realize this is in the first book of the Bible. So much has already happened. You think about it. People have already gathered together and gotten really smart together, and God dispersed them around the world. So it has to do with this, right? How did people get dispersed? How did nations develop all around the world? From the beginning, when did this happen? This is when this happened. So it's Genesis 11. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone, and they had bitumen for mortar. And then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." And the Lord came down to see the city and tower which the children of man had built. Can you imagine? The Lord came down to see what's going on. And the
Can't
Lord
even
said,
stand up is what I want to know, man. Like, geez.
yeah, the Lord said, here's what he said after seeing them all be so smart together, right? Behold, they are one people, and they all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Well, think about how smart God made us and how amazing we can be when we get together, but also how that can be used for evil if people are off track, right? And that's what's happening here. And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down there and confuse their language so that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord dispersed them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore, its name was called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of all the earth. And from there, the Lord dispersed them all over the face of all the earth. Now, you take that and the level of sophistication they had then when they're working together, and you just think about where we're at today with technology and the internet and the ability to understand any language just like that. Like Twitter translates immediately. Like you can find out, you can understand everybody everywhere pretty much. And so you just think about that and you look at the history right there. So we're living in fascinating times. I don't say that to create any fear, but just awareness that, hey, we maybe weren't meant to do everything we're capable of.
Well, that, and I think also if you look at it, like it's an excellent explanation of communism as well. Because if you look at it like communism, it's the perversion of working together, right? Because if you look at it, it says, "Oh, we're all equal," but somebody still controls that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens when you have these, societies that are like, "Oh, we're all equal and we all get along and we all have the same language." Someone still says, "I'm the boss." And I think what happens is, and those societies, interestingly enough, those societies remove religion and they remove spirituality, and I think that's the thing. I think that parable is an excellent explanation of, right, because if you look at that, communist societies in a ability a effort to make everyone equal, they actually become the enemy of people. And I think that's what you have to look at. It's when we're able to be divided into smaller groups as countries and as regions, like things work a lot better. I'm just gonna say that, because if you even look at, like, here's a really good example of, like, you look at the European Union, right? You have all these countries being forced to use the same currency. Well, the economy in Britain is very different than the economy in Hungary or in all these different countries, but you're forcing them to all use the same currency, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
becomes suppressive to another group that doesn't have the same value to their economy and whatever it may be. And that's why these efforts to make everyone equal, often become suppressive in a lot of ways.
Well, you see this. The globalists are doing all kinds of things in the name of the good of the world, right? That are causing havoc in nations and for people.